Thank you for taking the time out and jumping on this Zoom call, because we're going to kind of try to help you out with the property that you are interested in. What I have in your email basically says that there's an expired listing that is in your neighborhood. And funny thing is you and I are in the same neighborhood area. So we have founders that go to similar schools, and we kind of and we've actually known each other for many, many years. I think we go back. I mean, I was appraising, I would say after not 2009. So maybe like 2015. When did you have that office off Newport?
I want to say it's been more than 10 years.
For sure. Because
for 4.
Gwen was 4 when we would go to Pepper Tree, I think. So she was probably 2 or 3 when you were off Newport.
Yeah, she was little.
And you were with Stern. You've been with Stern. Give me a little background on where you're you're a lender, correct?
Yes, I'm a loan officer, and I'm currently with a mortgage broker. So prior to that, I was retail lending. So yeah, I think we knew each other when I was at Stearns.
Okay.
Had opened one of the first branches for Stearns Lending. And then
I met Glenn Stern, by the way.
Yeah, I'm actually going to meet him next week. I have an event that I'm going to, and he knows me pretty well, him and Mindy, his wife. Yep. And then from Stearns, I believe I went to Guaranteed Rate, and then Finance of America. And then from Finance of America, I came over to the broker side.
So you came over to the broker side. Okay.
Yeah,
so
4 years.
I remember, so how it worked is I used to lease an office, a couple different offices. Once back in the day off Newport, I had my own office. It was a nice spread. It was beautiful. And then she transitioned and moved different locations, and I still wanted to go be in your area. I didn't actually have, I had my own appraisal company at the time, and I basically leased an office. We would call it a printer station from you, where printers typically would go, but I actually was the appraiser in that little space I had a little curtain. So nobody knew I was there, and I just come in and hide behind the curtain.
Yeah.
But it worked out really good. We never really we didn't do too many deals together, because the AMC, the way it was working is you weren't even using me as an appraiser, but we would definitely be able to flow about questions you had regarding the appraisal industry, and I vice versa with stuff that I was struggling with as to why basically lenders are doing what they're doing, what are their guidelines, and you kind of got to establish what are appraiser guidelines, right?
That's true. Yeah, you had a lot of underwriting lending questions and vice versa.
And it's funny because we're definitely in a market now where we are shifting again, because we've seen it a couple different times with you and I, and how, when we're so busy pulling our hair out. But right now we're in a market where I am personally trying to create value in different aspects of the appraisal industry, as far as my 20 years experience. And that's why it was funny enough when you reached out to me about this property, and now we're here. So I'm going to pull up the property right now. And again, what I saw in the email was it was an expired listing. You have a client, a realtor client, who potentially wants to do a loan with you, and they're trying to see if the value back when it was expired was good. And I pulled it up, some information on it, and I'm going to jump.
Oh, perfect. Now I see the property.
Okay, perfect. We're back to the property, and this is what we want to get to. So what I'm going to do, since this actually works out good, because we're going to use MLS, which I'm sure you're pretty familiar with how to navigate through, or your realtors are. This will kind of give you a gauge on how I do it as an appraiser, and where I come up with what my adjustments and what I'm doing to initially start it, so you guys can have something to look at.
Okay.
So we know the property right here. You see the specs, right? It's a 4-bedroom, this will mean 2.5 or 3.5. So that would make it a full technically. And that's the half bath. So we got a 4, 3.5, 2,900 square feet, 9,000 square foot property. It was on the market for a year, right? So we now can see, let's see what it was. It was originally listed at 2.1.
Holy cow.
I
didn't know it was on the market for a year.
Yeah, it was on the market for a year.
Oh my gosh.
And what I encourage my clients to do, or my, whoever I'm working with, is when we're trying to get information on a property, I never hesitate from calling these expired listing phone numbers, even the agent, right? You call the agent, you get a little more information as to what's going on. So you have all the information you can when you're making the decision for your client or giving them the guidance they need. Let's look at the photos real quick, right? So do you see the photos?
On the left side, tiny, yes. Oh yeah, now I see them.
Okay, so this home, hold on one second. We got some loud. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this home looks pretty original. Well, look at this. I mean,
Very
as an
original.
investor, because that's what I'm coming from as well, I would think, oh, this would be a great one to go in there and fix up, right? It looks like it's pretty original. Maybe there was some updating back in like maybe the early 80s, late 70s with the tile and all that stuff. But this now needs a full rehab as far as, you know, what the current properties in our area are doing to their homes, right?
Well, it was built in when, like 69, 70?
65, or was it 65? Let's see.
60.
1965.
Oh my God, it was born when I was born.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Built when I was born. I'm
You're
aging
so
myself.
young. Okay, well, we're not gonna. But do you see that? Do you see the screen now with the curse where the year built is right there? Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're in 65, and now we kind of know what we're dealing with the property, right? Obviously, if whoever. Oh, there's a pool too. But if you're going to be dealing with your clients, hey, look, what do we know about this property already? That's a good thing. The good factor is pools are good in our market, right? People want a pool. Right?
Yes.
This pool.
Let's look at the pool though, Brandon. Can you pull the photos up really quickly again?
Okay. Do you
Pools
see
are
this
great?
pool? Yeah,
but
this is a
not
small dated,
pool.
nothing special. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's still functioning. You know why? Because it's not dirty. I mean, it looks like the pump still works or something just by the photos. Hopefully these are relevant photos.
Does it still have the diving board?
No diving board.
No diving board. Okay.
But you do see some of the specs in there. So I'm going to get out of the screen. Okay, so now we're going to go. Are you still seeing all the photos?
I just see the pool.
Okay, but you see the big pool that I just switched to?
Yeah.
It looks to me like there's a side yard that's kind of decent size, and then it goes into this backyard, which isn't very big, right? Looks like that's
oh, that is a side yard. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so the pool might be on the side yard. And what I would like to do now is I go back to here, and I'm gonna try to zoom in and see. Yeah, are you seeing the angle of the lot?
No, I see the MLS.
Okay, now you see it, right?
There you go. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, it's like a pie shape kind of.
So it's a pie shaped, and the pool's kind of
lot.
It's a good sized lot, but look at this is your backyard technically. There's not much to it. So your side yard is your whole pool. So this lot isn't that of a. I mean, it's great because you're on a cul-de-sac, and it's quiet, right? You're going to never have much traffic coming down this street. You probably, especially because look, there's nowhere to get out. This little street only holds these two street cul-de-sac, 3.5 hours. Because I know you got to get back to your clients. So we're going to jump right into this one. Okay, so we know what we're dealing with. Now I'm going to pull some comps. The best way I do that is I do my search criteria, and I'm going to we know it's 2,900 square feet. So we're just going to say, we're going to do a 300 square feet variance, right? So we'll say 2,600 square feet home to what that make it 32.
Yeah.
Okay. You're the math one. I know that. I know you know I'm not. Okay. So I'm going to change it. We know that we're going to get out of expire. We're going to go into the closed sales in 92705 within the last 60 days. Right now I'm seeing 21. Do you see my screen right now?
Yeah. But do you have to do lot size, or it's pretty standard? Cause like everybody's
right now, I'm not going
to 10,000.
Yeah, we're going to keep the lot size the same. If we see a crazy number price property, maybe like in the 4s or something, we're going to know that the lot's probably typically going to be larger. So we'll kind of use our better judgment right now. I typically start with the gross living area because that gives us, you know, the blueprint of the actual house. And then we can go from the lots, and then we can go to bedrooms, and then we can go all the amenities they have.
Got it.
I just want to see what's happening right now. And I do like to start with, since we're dealing with a really tricky market, I'm going to actually get out of our closed sales and see what we're seeing as far as actives and pendings.
All right.
So I'm going to search by the map first because this allows me to zoom in. See, we don't got much because again, you know this, when we go below 17th Street, do you see my screen right now?
Yes.
So when we go below,
no, that's not Tustin.
It's not Tustin still, it's unincorporated, but any area over here is going to be unincorporated. But right now we're still seeing, we'd like to stay above 17th just for, I mean, this probably is the same school district. I'm pretty sure it is. I think they go to Foothill.
Well, I mean, it would be the same high school, but it might not be the same middle school or elementary.
Yep. Okay. So what I do now, we know where we're at. I'm going to do a little aerial search. And then this is where it gets tricky because we have to go a little bit more custom to it because again, I'm just doing this for, you know, education purposes. Right now, if within a mile radius of our subject, there's two sales with the variance of square footage of 300. So that's not giving us much information. We have a 1.75 and a 1.56. We know that the 1.75 over here, it's north of 17th. It's still going to be, I think it's on the corner lot there. So it's off Ravencrest. So it literally sides.
Oh, it's that gray house.
It backs to Newport.
Yep,
I'm going to pull
that gray house.
Are you still seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, the gray house. Okay.
So you've seen this one before.
Oh yeah. I drive past it all the time. But yeah, I mean, look at it. It's 2687 versus, I
This
mean,
is
we did the 300 square foot variance, but it's very upgraded.
It's very upgraded. So this is what some, like as an investor, and if your client potentially looks like they're going to go the investment route for this property because they're going to have to rehab it, right? They're not just going to move. They want to fix this one up. So we would take this into consideration and show your client, look, we have a property. It's about 300 square feet smaller. It backs a busy road, and it's got a lot size of about 5,000 square feet larger. But the reason we're liking this one only is the factor of because of the condition, right?
Yeah.
So do you see me scrolling through the photos?
Yes.
Okay, so we're just going to do a quick scroll because I know you're fast and you visually can see a lot. So
yes.
All this looks like it's been rehabbed, right? One way or another. Another way we can tell, which obviously you would do because you deal with title all the time, is you can pull title on this and you can find out if they have any liens on it or what's going on with the property, correct?
Yeah.
Which you probably are going to be doing for your client with the property we're comping out, right?
Absolutely.
The one off of All Farm.
Yeah.
Because we need to give CNN as a pool.
Much bigger.
And a bigger lot that's usable, right? Not only is it bigger,
Definitely
but it's usable.
a bigger lot.
So that just tells us that, okay, this one, I would just notate this one, put the address down, Ravencrest, and then I would call the agent, which we would, Gerald, you know what the funny thing is, you're probably going to know some of these agents.
I don't know him.
And then now we have a number, we call and say, okay, you've been on the market for 9 days, you're new. I'm going to pull the parcel map on this one. And you don't see what I'm doing yet, but I'm going to let it load. But it allows me to pull public records as an appraiser would pull. So now do you see this tab?
Yes.
It says active listing. We're going to see maybe it was a fix and flip. So we can see when they purchased it last. And maybe it was. Okay, look, 2022, basically a year ago, they bought it for 1.66. Oh, that's telling me that this investor's not making much money on this property. That's what they're doing, right? So now you're seeing my tab again. We know that this home is at 1.75 on the market. It was purchased for 1.66, right? So that's not a really good a good spread. So they're not getting much in their return on this property. We could dive deeper into this one, but right now for us and our time, we know that we can pull this one up. Maybe we can see if this one was listed back at the 1.6. And we can see if it was already rehabbed. Maybe it was already rehabbed back in 2020 or something. Because look, they bought it in 2020 for $1 million. You see that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, just because I drive past it every day, several times a day, Brandon, and I've seen the front of that change. Okay. There have been no improvements in the last year or two.
See, so something's telling me that this home was actually fixed and flipped back in 2020. Yeah. And then it was bought to this person, and then the buyer was Tiffany Lee, and now Tiffany Lee wants out a year later. Maybe she had a family thing and she just wants to get out of the property. You never know.
I think it was actually flipped in 2017 because it's 2020. Maybe you're right. Divinity Flow sold it to Magda. See, so good. Yeah. I love when you know where you're going with this. It makes it easy. Yeah. Okay, so we have a 1.7 as something, and what we want to do is, this is how we would do it. We would approach your client or your agent and say, look, we got to be realistic. We got something on the market now at 1.7 that maybe if your home is already, needs all this work, where are we going to fall within the comps for your property, right? Yeah, because the property was originally listed at what, 1.8? Well, originally 1.8, it expired at 1.845, but it was originally listed at 2.1. Oh, right, 2.1. Yeah. So we know that we have a listing at 1.7, and this is what we do. We just kind of try to back into it and say, hey, there's no way we're going to be able to give you more than even this, because now we have to take all these other factors. Yes, it has a pool. The lot size is smaller. So you do our adjustments based off that. We're going to give value to this comparable because it's smaller. So we give it, whatever. Say we did $100 per square foot. Let's just say it's $30,000, right? So we're going to, because the subject's 2,900 square feet. Yep. So we're going to say roughly, just for, purposes of understanding it, 300 or 30,000. Now that makes that a $1.78 million home. Yep. But then the lot size is 5,000 square foot larger. We're going to say it's $10 per square foot. So 10 times 5, it's $50,000, right? We're going to take away 50. So now we're back down to 7.3. But then the condition of it is about 200 grand to make it look like this. Let's just do a rough ballpark, right? So now we're going back down to 1.5. Yeah.
So this 1.8 listing property, we would have to come in somewhere in the low 1.4s probably to even be able to make money off it if we're using this one as our like golden comparable, right?
Right. It's the only one you have.
It's the only one we have as far as on the market right now. We can go ahead and go and see if let's just check closed real quick because we got about 5 more minutes. But I just want to see if you can see what I'm doing here. So now we're going to go to closed.
Yep.
We did our mile radius search, and within that mile radius search, there's 4. I always go to my map to see where they're pulling them from. Okay, they're pulling them north of 17th, which is good,
that's
right?
Great.
Prospect, we sometimes like to stay east of Prospect, even though it's right across, but because you get
it's Tustin.
It's Tustin, but it's still the zip code of 92705.
That might be 92780.
No, because what I did is I left.
Oh, I
all
see. No, you're right.
So,
Allegheny.
Yeah, so Allegheny, and you know that street very well.
Yeah,
I think I've heard you say some of these street names like in my sleep because
a million times over.
I would hear you in the office.
92705 in the search parameters.
Yep, we kept it the same. So then that keeps us out of the 92 to Tustin market, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're here. We're going to go back to our maps. Okay, so now we're going to go to maps. We see 4 of them. So I'm just doing a cursor look real quick before. We have a $2 million property. We have a 1.4, a 1.53. Let's look at this 1.5. It is off Leafwood, so it's not a busy street. Let's see what this one is. I walk my dog around the street all the time. Okay, now we're getting closer into our lot size, right? We have an 11,000 square foot. We have a 2,700. Our subject's 29. The difference about this one is it's a 1-story.
Yep.
So
more
ideally as an appraiser and no pool, but the condition of it, this is what we like about the condition, right? It's pretty original. I mean, you can live in this, but people are it's same wallpaper, same laminate flooring, countertops. This is our as is value as far as the condition of our subject property, right? As far as we know before actually going on the inspection. So we know that this one, if an investor wanted this property, they would have to do some work on the inside, and it doesn't have a pool. And the lot's not super big. So this might be a good one to say, hey, we now have a 1.5. Remember when I was saying that we need to do an offer at around 1.5 or something like that? Well, now we have something we can play with and explain to them why we need to be our offer where it is. We have a closed sale. It's right up the street from us, 0.2 miles away. Difference is it's a 1-story. Let's see real quick if we can find
missing a bedroom.
And it's missing a bedroom
short, right?
Yep. And we're missing, I think, a bath too. Is it a 3? We had a 3.5. So we have a half bath. So we would give value to this one, which we typically want to try not to if we're doing the as is, because we want to be realistic about what we're doing as far as, you know, our offer numbers, so we can make the most margin between our offer and our investment, right?
Right.
Because we have to fix it up. So we want to get it as low as possible that's realistic, and we want to be able to get it as high as possible that's realistic. Because again, we're coming up on the end of the year. We're coming up on an election year. By the time you get a contractor into the property we're looking at, they may not be able to start till the beginning of next year because they're already booked out this year. So now we're dealing with a 4-month, 5-month project for the beginning of 2024, which now takes us into April, which typically is a better market, right? When the summer starts hitting. But again, we don't know what rates are going to do. Really, you see that every day. You watch it every day. What are your predictions?
Yeah. And what about permits, Brandon?
Permits, well, as a quality investor,
in our city, unincorporated.
You get to go down to the county. So you have to go and deal with that. And I've heard my neighbor across the street's doing an addition as well. And he said it's backed up, but not what it was during COVID. Do you know what I mean? So there's still some, you can do some stuff, but it depends on getting in there and actually making relationships with these builder inspectors, right? You go in there and bring them a coffee and say, I want to get in the front of the line as quick as possible, because one revision can take up to a month, right? Or 2 months. And you're just waiting on people to do some things. So this one we'll hold in our pocket as well. We got a 1.5. Let me see if I can find.
Do you take away, Brandon, if it's on a cul-de-sac or not on a cul-de-sac? Do you have to give it some kind of credence if it's on a busy street or backs up to a parking lot, like some of our properties do, right? Like some of them back up to that church.
Yep, and that's a good question, Momi. Busy streets, 100%, right? And again, it's all based off the data we have available at the time of our inspection, right? So if we're saying that the subject backs a busy street and we find something that maybe isn't a busy street, but it's got a similar external influence, like, okay, well, now we're getting closer to where we don't back a street, but we're not on a cul-de-sac, which is a quieter street, but we're closer to the freeway where we hear the freeway, right? So now we could
Right.
say, market will allow for that to be a similar adjustment as an appraiser. We don't want to overthink it and analyze it, because right now, when obviously we're in a market where it's not that there's low inventory, but the rates are high, which means people have to qualify for these loans first, right?
Yeah.
So even if they want the property, they may not qualify at the 8% because their income or whatever the ratio is off of your guys' side of the business, right? But this one here, Moni, let's just look at this. We have a 1.7. It's a 2-story, right?
Yeah.
So now we have the same as far as, but this one, here we go.
All upgraded.
All upgraded. So we had a 1.75 that backed a busy street. That's a 2-story on the market currently, right? That's that one that was rehabbed in 2020.
Right.
And now we have one that is a closed sale that an investor be, okay, well, this is what they're paying for this is a fix and flip property in the sense that, they're using current materials, right?
Yeah.
They got that wood laminate, nice distressed flooring. They have faux beams in there, or maybe they're not faux, but they're definitely painted. And now it looks like it runs all the way downstairs. And for sure, look at the bathroom.
Yeah.
Turned out beautiful.
Yeah, nice lights, nice. Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. What we're not seeing,
pool.
No pool. But this lot, we like the backyard of this, right? It's like a side yard lot, and it's not very big, right? So this could be our lot size, good comparable as far as we're dealing with a similar lot size. So this I would take now to Mr. and your client and say, look, we have a fixed closed property at 1.7. It's a little bit smaller, right? About 200 square feet. So then again, we would give value to this one about, say $20,000, right? So now we're at set 1.75, and it doesn't have a pool. We're going to say the market does.
But it has an extra bed and one less or no, the bath is the same.
This quarter bath, when they do that, it might be like, I'm weary about that. I'd try to find out, but I'm just going to assume for purposes of what we're doing, it's just a 3-bath. Okay. So this quarter bath doesn't really add value. Maybe it's a bath. Sometimes agents will put the bath in the garage. You know what I mean? Agents will do whatever they can to sell these properties, right?
But don't you take away for the extra room?
Extra room, we might not need
an extra bedroom.
But in this market, that may not be where the warranting adjustment comes from. But for sure, if we're doing an adjustment for square footage, I sometimes won't do a bedroom adjustment unless it's warranted when I do all my other adjustments. So we have to take a bunch of factors into consideration, and then we go ahead and analyze which one would work. But again, we have a 1.7. We have to take away about 200 grand again, right? Because we think that this home. So now we're back down to 1.5.
Back down to 1.5, 1.4.
So and do you see what we did there? We took a closed sale and we took a listing sale, and we still came up with where our offer price would be as far as what we can offer this home that was on the market originally for 2.1 and sat for a year at 1.845. So now we know that, hey, if you're interested in selling and you just want to be realistic, we're looking at a closer number to coming in about a 1.5 for your offer. And then that allows your investor, or we obviously want to get a little bit lower, but that allows your investor to know where his spread's going to be. Because again, if he's going to do a hard money loan, we say we're going in cash, but a lot of the times our money's already tied up somewhere else. So we're using a hard money loan for this project, which means we have a 12, 13% interest rate for 6 months. Well, we want to narrow that time down, and we want to whittle all that our expenses down. So do you see kind of what we did there? And now you can go take these sales to your client, and you now have some information to give them as to why their offer should be somewhere around that. And, I would love to know how this one turns out. So you're going to keep me posted, right?
Absolutely. And then one other quick question, Brandon, the days on the market, this one was only 22 days. Okay. I didn't see the other one because it was still listed, right? And then the expired listing was almost a year, 362 days. Do appraisers give any credence to that, or should an investor look at that? Does that bear any weight?
Days on market for sure does, especially as an investor, because they need to know how long things are sitting. If we know that they're turning, but again, we're in a really weird time with you see it, because the market is, someone might want the property, but we're not qualifying these people because now their interest rate was a 3. And regardless, they now have to go into a 7 point something interest rate, right? So they have to prove they have a lot more diligence on their end. So the seller now has to be realistic that actually the agent, let's be honest too, because the agent and the seller need to be in alignment with that. Because an agent, if I'm an agent as well, but I wouldn't want to put a property on the market just because my potential client says it's what they want. Because again, I don't want my name attached to something that's going to sit for too long and sit a year, and then I have an expired listing on my belt. And then you know what? You tack on these expired. Now you're looked at as an agent who has all these expired listings.
Yeah, plus because sellers know exactly what their property value should be, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then you know
Sellers
what?
know
And then
best.
agents know exactly what the property should appraise for based on price per square foot, which
Well,
we will save we will save that for another time, Momi, because I literally could go on for hours about this. But if you want to go ahead and let me know next time you want to set up a call, I'd love to know how this one turns out so I can inform my, the people that are watching as well, because
Absolutely.
I think it's cool to see where things start and where they end. And if it's something that can turn to a deal, because as I'm analyzing this with you, this allows me to go, okay, well, I know what my neighborhood market's doing. And if your client doesn't jump on it, that might be a reason I walk around the block, knock on the door and say, hey, I'm your neighbor next door. I'm also an investor and appraiser. And I know that this is where I'm seeing my numbers, because if someone doesn't want to jump on this, somebody else will.
Right. And just because it's expired doesn't mean that there's not still interested in selling it.
Exactly. And all we do as in my situation is I just have the conversation, because what do I have to lose? Right now,
Nothing.
I call it walking and knocking. So I'm just getting all my steps in. You said you did Pilates this morning. I walk and knock, because it allows me to get, 2 miles. You don't realize you do. You look at your watch, like I already walked 2 miles.
Yeah.
And I passed out, 50 flyers. So I'm out there doing it. You're there doing it. And I can't wait for when it turns around for all of us again, and we are just crushing it.
And it will.
For sure. Well, thank you, Momi. It's been great talking to you, and keep me posted.
Absolutely.
Tell Larry I said hello.
You got it.
And the girls.